Hi everyone, I'm Katie, an infant toddler Montessori teacher and registered early childhood educator. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 common misconceptions about Montessori. To be perfectly honest, before studying Montessori and joining the Montessori community, I thought that some of these were true too. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn that Montessori isn't what some of the critics believe it to be. So let's get started. Misconception number 1 is that children in Montessori schools are not taught social skills. I think this is probably one of the most commonly widespread misconceptions about Montessori. While Montessori does emphasize independence and individual work, the children are given many opportunities for social interactions. I think that this misconception happens because there isn't an area of the Montessori curriculum that is solely dedicated to developing social skills. Although we aren't directly planning for and teaching them how to be social, the social development is happening organically in the classroom. And we are following the children's lead in this area. If the children want to work alone, they're welcome to work alone. If they want to work with others, there are definitely activities in which they are able to do that. But it has to sort of be decided by the child whether or not they want to work independently or work in a group. I should add here that part of Dr. Montessori's method was mixed age grouping. So in a CASA classroom, for example, the children are anywhere from 2.5 years of age to 6 years of age. And this is so that the younger children can learn from the older children and the older children can learn from the younger children. The older children are given the opportunity to work with younger children and present the lessons to them and sort of be the teacher. So there is quite a bit of socialization and collaboration happening in Montessori classrooms. It's just maybe happening a little quieter than you're used to with preschoolers. So misconception number 2 is that Montessori does not allow for creative or imaginative play. It took me a couple of years of teaching in a Montessori classroom before I recognized that there is a lot of creativity and imagination actually happening. It's promoted by encouraging the children to explore and experiment with the materials in their own way. Initially, the children are given a presentation on how to properly use the materials, but after that presentation, they're basically free to use the materials in a way that suits their needs and interests. So yes, it is true that there is not a pretend play area in a Montessori classroom or dress-up clothes or any of those things, but that is because Dr. Montessori found in all of her research with children that children were very interested in reality. So we connect them to reality first. Rather than pretending to bake bread, we make real bread with the children. They learn about the names of the ingredients, how the ingredients feel, what they smell like. They learn to mix the ingredients, to sit around a table and work together to make something. And then at the end of it all, they get to have this delicious bread that they made themselves. So you can see just with those few details how much more meaningful and impactful that experience might be rather than pretending to make bread. Now, with all of that being said, just like with the previous misconception, creativity and imagination happens organically in the classroom. Anytime I saw one of the toddlers using a material creatively, I absolutely allowed it to happen because it was fascinating to see how they would explore and experiment with the materials. So there's one example that always sticks out in my mind when I think back on my time in the classroom. It was an afternoon class and the children were a little bit older. This was near the end of the year, so they were closer to 3. And these 2 children all of a sudden started gathering some of the shelf material. So they were taking some of the transfer work, they were taking some of the developmental aids, and they were putting it on the table. And I was thinking to myself, what on earth are they doing? I'm just gonna sit back and see what it is they're doing. And what they were doing was they were pretending to make cupcakes. These 2 children had basically seen all of these materials and decided that they wanted to pretend to make cupcakes. So I let it happen, and it was amazing to see. The children, they were pretending that the pom-poms were the ingredients. I ended up pulling out like a muffin tin from the cupboard that we had. I had a box that they used as an oven. So I sort of added more materials to their play to try to extend it because they were having such a lovely time. But to me, that is really the perfect example of how imagination and creativity happens in the classroom. A lot of the times the children see the materials and use them in a way that's really creative. I should add here, I don't want to speak for every Montessori teacher. There are maybe some Montessori teachers that wouldn't have encouraged that type of play. They maybe wouldn't have gone to the cupboard and gathered more materials to extend the children's creative play in this way. But I know with my background as a registered early childhood educator, these opportunities for learning are really meaningful for the children. So at least in my classroom, I definitely encouraged that type of play. Hey, I just wanted to interrupt and say that we have a store, if you didn't already know. We sell a variety of Montessori materials, open-ended toys, and children's furniture, and it's quick and easy to order them online. We also have a store located on Danforth Avenue if you would prefer to shop in person. We'd love it if you stop by, but for now, let's get back to the video. Misconception number 3 is that children in Montessori classrooms are allowed to do whatever they want. So sure, if you observe a Montessori classroom, you will see children walking around and working independently, but that does not mean that they aren't learning. The Montessori method is built on the idea of self-directed learning. So the children get to choose what they do while they're at school, how they want to spend their time. They can choose to work with materials on the shelf, they can choose to work with materials on the floor, they can choose to work independently or with others. It's very much directed by the child. They are free to explore and learn at their own pace, but all of that happens within the limits of the classroom. So the rules in a Montessori classroom are known as freedom within limits. So the children are free, but there are limits. And those limits are that the children must have respect for the environment, which means the space, the classroom space. They must have respect for the materials, so they must use the materials in a way that is respectful. They can explore with the materials, but they are not allowed to throw them or to hurt somebody with them. And that leads me to the final one, which is they have to have respect for each other. So there is sort of this peace that is maintained in the classroom that is founded in respect. So while Montessori classrooms do offer the children more freedom and independence than traditional classrooms, there are certain guidelines and expectations that the children are expected to follow. So misconception number 4 is that all Montessori schools are the same. So while all Montessori schools should be following the same educational philosophy, there are going to be variations in how the curriculum is implemented, the age ranges of the children, and so on. Dr. Montessori didn't patent or trademark her name or her method, so the truth is that anybody can use her name, even if they don't have the formal training. So if you're thinking about enrolling your child in a Montessori school, one of the first questions I encourage you to ask is whether the teachers are trained or not. So here in Canada, we have an organization called CCMA, the Canadian Council for Montessori Administrators, and what they do is they accredit schools to ensure that they are providing a high-quality Montessori education for each child. So if you're looking for a school where the teachers have their Montessori training and are implementing a Montessori curriculum, I encourage you to look for an accredited school. On our website, we have a directory of Montessori schools in the GTA. It's not all of the schools, but it's a considerable amount of them. And in the right-hand column, you'll see there is an area that says whether or not the school is accredited. So I will link to that in the description below if you're interested. You can also go to the CCMA website where they have a very thorough list. I'll just add here that there are some really great schools out there that aren't accredited. So it's really important that you do your research and most importantly, visit the Montessori schools that you're interested in to make sure that they're going to work well for your child, for you, and they're going to meet your educational goals for your child. Misconception number 5 is that Montessori is only for wealthy families. In Toronto, at least in my neighborhood, tuition for Montessori school is very high. So yes, it can seem as though Montessori is only accessible for wealthier families, but the good news is that Montessori at home is free. If you're interested, you can implement much of the Montessori method at home. We have quite a few videos on how to bring Montessori into the home, and we do have some videos on different Montessori materials for the different age groups. So if you're interested in learning about some ways to bring Montessori into the home, please check out those videos on our channel. All right, so those were the 5 common misconceptions about Montessori. If there are any others, please feel free to add them in the comments below, and I'll make another video on this subject. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, it really helps our channel if you like and subscribe. This helps other parents to find our channel. And if you have a question, feel free to comment your question below and we'll answer it in a future video. Take care. Bye.